right. Hello. Hi. This is not going to be comfortable for you. Okay. It's my 54th birthday today. I have been confronting inflammation in my brain for 10 years, and it is resolved because I'm a neuroscientist who thinks it's more important to work ethically within scope and through good science than it is to have a piece of paper that says I'm a polyvagal theory expert. The reason it does not do me benefit or you benefit to have a piece of paper that says you're a polyvagal expert is your vagus nerve has absolutely nothing to do with healing a sensory motor cortex, addressing inflammation from an autoimmune disorder, regulating your vagus nerve, having fascia, or being trauma informed. In fact, I can tell you with certainty that claiming or naming yourself to be trauma informed is as believable by those of us who are harmed by you than labeling yourself an ally. In fact, 100% of brown and Black humans know that when you label yourself neurodiverse affirming and neurodivergent affirming and trauma informed, 100% of the populations you serve who experience oppression know that makes you not safe. And now you know that you have been infiltrated by an unsafe white person. I thought that I was being trained by Bessel van der Kolk, Peter Levine, Deb Dana, Stephen Porges, Richard Schwartz, Robert Schleip. You don't even know some of these names. I am so trained. Oh, and by the way, that's not the academics that I needed to survive my brain break. The academics I needed to survive my brain break is neuroscience, okay? I have a master's degree in epigenetics. I have a master's degree in what happens when a significant cultural event impacts a significant portion of a population. And anybody who understands the nature of a pandemic and who witnessed even a tiny little sliver of what we experienced in the United States during COVID, if you had looked outside your window once, you would have noticed that the rest of the world did not have that experience. You would have been shocked at my risk into 6 months of chemotherapy and 30 rounds of radiation without anybody next to me. It would have shocked you how cruel you are. Licensed therapist calling yourself neuroscience, not licensed yoga instructor calling yourself neuroscience, and very much PhDs calling yourself neuroscientists. If Stephen Porges, Bessel van der Kolk, or Peter Levine ever once treated their own nothing as though it had to be rigorously put into direct use, perhaps by an individual who they trained. I have trained with these humans for probably 10 years, easily. I've been studying living tissue with medical doctors for decades. Before I studied living tissue, I grew up into a household where you didn't go to the opera. I watched my father produce and conduct them. Which teachings do you think I leaned on when I had to be all by myself after going to the hospital and being burned from the inside with chemicals? And then I got to go home and watch all of you decide that millions of lives were immaterial to your need for comfort. You call yourselves science, you call yourselves trauma, you credential each other trauma informed, and you never once thought through to what a sense organ is as it relates to a brain and what a human would need to survive. Not what a person in the 20th century, what a human needs. And that is why I am going to spend the rest of my life. And oh, by the way, it got a lot longer recently because I was well rewarded for the profundity of my ethos, because I know that I am programming your brain. And I want you to know that you are programming your brain. Regulation is a mechanism that an entity does. The SEC is an entity. The school you go to is an entity. The Shen from TCM are entities. Homeostasis is what an organism experiences. Homeostasis is what neuroscience contemplates. Homeostasis is why Ray Kurzweil's book that's coming out this week about the singularity being almost here was in the publishing process so long, I haven't been able to get to him to tell him that our fascia is the same tensegrity he's been teaching me about for 30 years. I have followed that man's mind. As to Andy Clark's new book that's coming out called The Experience Machine and some of the new theories about predictive processing and our default mode network, I have corrected for the confusion you're going to be experiencing when you have to understand that you're not programming or determining how fire and electricity are running through a body. You're going to start learning that it's about how we experience flow. And none of you is going to want to hear me say that because I don't have a piece of paper that says I'm qualified to speak to trauma. And I didn't come out of a functional stroke that preceded my breast cancer by years, like nothing happened. In fact, I came out of it like something very, a fuck big deal happened. The big deal is not that I survived. The big deal is that I'm not Ted Kaczynski.